In this video tutorial, we're going to look at class members. In the previous video in this playlist, we looked at the following class, and we have the first line, often referred to as the clause, and within the class we have this program statement here, pass, which it actually doesn't do anything. And in this region here, we have something referred to as the suite, which is usually consists of all of the variables and all of the program statements that will go into the class. Now on this line, what I have a program statement that doesn't belong to the class, but what it's going to do, it's going to use this function, and I'm going to pass in the name of the class, and then I'm going to print what's returned. And when we do this, what we will see returned is shown here. Now everything that is listed here are members of this particular class. And one of the things you can see about all of these that are listed, if I have a look at this one here, for example, you can see it has underscore underscore doc, then underscore underscore. Likewise, if I have a look at this one, you can see it's got underscore underscore, and then it ends with an underscore and underscore. And if you just scan the others, you can see that there's a double underscore before each of the names and a double underscore after. I'm now going to go on to the next program, which is this one here, and I'm using the same class, but on this line you can see I'm creating an instance of the class, which again we saw in the last video. And on this line I'm going to print, and here I'm using the function that I used a moment ago, but on this occasion I'm going to be passing in the instance of the class, in other words the object. And what you will see when this program runs is this particular output here. And if you look, you can see that the list here is exactly the same as the list we had a moment ago, when instead of passing in my instance, as you can see here, we passed in the name of the class. Now these are also members of the object, which makes sense because if you remember, the object is based on the class. Now the thing to ask, where do these members come from? Because if you look at this particular class, this is one I produced, this is one I typed in. I've only put the word pass here, which is a Python statement. It is a program statement, but it doesn't do anything. I haven't put anything else into this class, but it appears to be telling me that I have all of this as members of the class. Well, this is to do with Python implementation detail. And I'm showing you right up front here because when you read around the subject of Python classes, you're going to see lots of references to this type of thing. But what I want to tell you here is, because we're looking at Python classes as an introduction, be aware that these exist, but ignore them for the time being. We will come back to these later in the playlist, and in some cases much later in the playlist, but I wanted to show you that these exist, and they have these double underscores that begin and end the actual names that you see. One that I want to look at, however, is this one here, the underscore underscore doc underscore underscore, just to give you a feel for what these kind of things can do for us. Right, I'm now going to amend the demo class, and you can see the amendment here. And what I've done, I've simply added this bit here. And if you have a look, here you can see there are 3 double quotes, and here there are 3 double quotes. And in between, it simply says, this is a demonstration class. This text is the documentation string that is used to describe the class. Now, what this is for is you as a programmer, when you've finished your class and you want to let other programmers know what it does, you put a documentation string here. That's essentially what it's for. And this string can be useful. In this particular case, obviously, there's nothing going on in the class, so I've just said, look, this is a demo class. On this line, what you can see, I'm printing, and here you can see the name of the class. And then you can see I've got a dot, which is dot notation, and I'm following that by underscore underscore doc underscore underscore. Now, when this program actually executes, what you're going to see at the output is this. And you can see that this particular string here has been outputted, as you can see in front of you. Now what has happened is this here has been responsible for going to get this string and putting it here at runtime. And of course, if this was going to describe a sensible class, not this demonstration one I'm using here, it would tell us things about the class. It might say, oh, this is for a bank account. This is how you can debit your account, credit your account. This is how you calculate interest. It could have words in there to give you an idea as a programmer as to what the class will do for you. There'll be other things involved in what you would typically type in there within a software house, and they would have their own rules for how you would format this. But essentially, it's to assist other programmers with programs you've written, or assist yourself when you've forgotten what you've written and you want to go back and see what that particular class actually was for. Let's look again at this particular program, but on this occasion I'm not going to change the class. I'm actually going to do the change here. And what I've done on this line, I'm creating an instance of the class. And of course, when this line executes, what's going to happen? The execution space is going to have an object created, and this object is going to have this particular name, my underscore instance underscore 1. And you can see that's come from the fact that I've used it here in the code. And then I'm assigning demo class with the 2 brackets. Now this will actually create an instance of the class, and that instance is this here, which we can also call an object. Now on this line, what I'm doing, I'm using the name of the object, then the dot, and then the underscore underscore doc underscore underscore. Now what this is, it's a message to the object, so I'm showing that message going to the object now. And what that message will do, it will go and get the string and it will display it on the output, as you can see here. Now I'm actually going to put the class back to how it was a moment ago, and here you can see I've removed the string. And here I'm creating an instance of the class, and here I'm going to print what the string actually is. And you can see, well, I've removed the string. So what's it going to do in this particular case? Well, the first line is going to create the object, and when I go on to do this particular line, this is going to be the message to the actual object, and what's going to be returned is the fact that we don't have a string here, and Python tells you that by giving you this output where you can see it says none, meaning the programmer hasn't put a string within the class to describe what it's going to do. So if we just for a moment reflect on the execution space, what we've just seen, we have an object being created, and this object has been sent a message, and that message has invoked one of the members of the object, which were defined somewhere in Python and part of the Python implementation details. I wasn't responsible, for example, for this particular underscore underscore doc underscore underscore. It's part of Python, and I was just able to use it. And here are the list of all of those members. And just to repeat what I said earlier in this particular video, don't worry too much about them for the time being. I've just shown you one of them. I've shown you what the doc one does, but the others, they are important. I'm not denying the importance of these. What I'm saying is that you might come across these as you're beginning to learn about classes in Python, and my recommendation is for the time being, don't worry about them. We'll come on to those later in this particular series. Check out the supporting website for these videos, and also consider subscribing to the YouTube channel and the Google Plus circle that relates to these videos. In addition, why not follow me on Twitter, as I issue a tweet every time I upload a new video.